Hello, and welcome back to Rebooking to Mastery, a podcast where I look through and parse through books to find pieces of knowledge that I found relevant and important to myself, and I would like to share with the rest of the world. My name is Jagan, and I'm just a master's student trying to spread some knowledge out to the rest of the world. For all you old listeners, welcome back, and for you new listeners, welcome to this podcast. The books that I'm currently analyzing through this podcast are Think Like a Monk by Jay Shetty, Grit by Angela Duckworth, and the current book of this podcast, which is The 33 Strategies of War by Robert Greene. If you look on the last few episodes, I went through and did an analysis of Chapter 2 of Think Like a Monk by Jay Shetty. And so right now, I'm going to come back to The 33 Strategies of War, which is a book by Robert Greene discussing practical and strategic ways of living life and ensuring that you do the best, not only in terms of working hard, but strategically. And so, instead of going by order, I want to discuss a law that I feel is particularly relevant to maybe the time right now, maybe just the closeness, the proximity to the new year, which is law number 4, creating a sense of urgency and desperation, the death ground strategy. So this strategy is one of my personal favorites. It's one of the first I read in this book, and when I read this many months ago, I remember the kind of inspiration I wrought from this feeling. When you think of the word death ground, you think of you're on your last legs, you're pushed against the wall, you're cornered, you have no way out but to fight. Your only choice is to commit yourself to the battle. Commit yourself to fighting until you break free of the problems that you are under, or the problems that besiege you, or the problems that cause you harm overall. And so the death ground is a place where you have no choice but to do what you must. And so the idea of law number 4, strategy number 4, is to create this death ground, to create this urgency, to create this desperation inside of yourself, to cultivate it, to make it something incredibly inspiring, motivating, and driving as a force. The thing about the death ground, with your back against the wall, is the urgency that it provides. So a sense of urgency really comes from a powerful connection to the present. It comes from grounding yourself to the now and facing the issue at hand. A lot of us spend time in the past, myself included, or project so far into the future, we forget about the present moment. And so those that really involve themselves in the present moment, the immediate now, are focusing so intensely. They are more powerful than those whose minds have one foot in the door of the past and one foot in the door of the future, and their head correspondingly in the clouds. One thing that we do, not necessarily always a bad thing, but in this case, for the purposes of this strategy, it is a bad thing, is that we have backup plans. Obviously, it is a good thing to be prepared. That is how you fight a war, strategically. However, one issue we run into as individuals with backup plans is that we forget our plan A. We forget the plan that is the most important, the one that matters the most to us, and the one that we really want more than anything to accomplish. We rather, instead of looking at our plan A intensely and analyzing what we should do and why we should do it, we look at all of our plans and we sort like, oh, if I don't get this, I can do this, and we lose the vigor and the intensity that we would have if we only had one plan and one thing to do and only one chance to survive. So the root of the problem in here is rather your perception and your spirit towards what's most important to you. A backup plan, like I said, might be a blessing, but it's also a curse. Imagine if you had, say, 3 options to choose from. 3 different pastries to choose from, per se. You would spend some time considering the benefits, the drawbacks, the taste, the texture, the aesthetics of each and every single pastry before even considering to bite into one. And you would consider the entire time how the other two might have tasted. However, if you had one pastry, one option, one way forward, you would find yourself committing completely to that option. Understanding that that is your only way out of the situation that you are in, and working to achieve that. Sometimes, in order to get to the goals we want, we need to get rid of the safety nets of our backup plans. Sometimes we need to push forward past the if not this, then this, if not that, then that, and commit completely. This isn't an assertion or a statement to abandon every single backup plan, but rather to put those off to the side, understanding that the opportunity you want is the opportunity in front of you. To dedicate the death ground, to find yourself in the death ground. Dedicate yourself to the death ground and find yourself with that as your only plan of attack, forgetting all backup plans. While they may be a blessing, they are more of a curse because they divide you. They divide your attention. They divide your thoughts. They allow you to simmer in this farce of mellowness for you to be not fighting with every fiber of your being, but fighting with the fibers that want to dedicate themselves to this plan. If that makes sense. So, to find yourself in the death ground and to attack with the maximum vigorosity, the maximum power, is to create this urgency, to create this desperation, to create the death ground. Focus all your efforts on one plan. Forget about your backups. Take those risks. Throw off the safety nets. And push forward. For then you will find more of your true potential. Not by having 7 plans that can go properly and just hoping for one to land on its feet. Thank you so much for listening to my podcast, Reworking to Mastery. And if you'd like to hear more content, feel free to drop me a follow on whichever platform you're listening on, or find me on YouTube if you want to see videos, or on TikTok and Instagram at Reworking to Mastery to find some key important clips. Thank you so much for listening, and see you guys next time.